So Mile High says that they overgrade books? Huh, interesting. Okay, so I love Mile High Comics. I buy a lot of comics from them. There's no hiding that. But I've been watching some older interviews of Chuck Rosansky and just again, just absorbing all of the information about the hobby. There's some great YouTube channels out there for artist interviews and retailer interviews, and I'm always fascinated by sort of those behind-the-scenes conversations. And in a recent interview, Chuck had mentioned that one of the things that frustrates him is that he has employees that he relies on that grades the books, and they typically overgrade their books. I don't know if he was saying that and he had his salesman hat on when he was saying it, or if it's true. And really, the only way to find out is looking at the data. I had put together a video not too long ago around books in the fine and very fine range. And the premise of that was that you could find value in those grades, those sort of like mid to low end high grade, if you purchase them from Mile High, because they may or may not truly be that grade, or they may have particular pressable defects. So those are just books that they've been sitting in their inventory for quite some time before sort of the press and clean boom really took off over the last 5 or 10 years. And that those books could just be kind of unearthed and reviewed for improvement. So I had a couple of different theories on that, and I think the video was successful. It kind of showed that there was some value there. You still have to gamble a little bit. Not every book is a score. But this unboxing that I'm about to go through is a mixture of both books that were, I don't want to say like popping on the market, but definitely had increased in value, and Mile High had not yet adjusted their pricing. And then also some of those fine and very fine books that I wanted to take a chance on. And there's one book in here in particular that was a little out of my price range in the near mint, but was more affordable and very fine. And I'm going to definitely open that one up and grade it and show you the condition and see how it turned out. And just, I really want to put actual information and data and facts and evidence together to support some of these statements that are made just kind of randomly off the cuff. I always hear phrases that bother me, like hit or miss, or overgrade, undergrade, undervalued, underrated, and I want to quantify that. So let's get to the unboxing of these comics and start to look at some of the books that I ordered in fine and very fine. I believe there were some fine grades in here. It may have just been very fine and near mint. But in any case, we're going to look at these books and see if the condition really holds up and start to work on that theory that the graders at Mile High overgrade their books. All right, here we go. Here is the unboxing. They send comics in the this oversized box when the order goes above a certain amount. So I did it again. So let me go ahead and unbox this. We got a few layers to go through, and then we'll get into the comics. So yeah, normally this is the box that just comes in the FedEx envelope. But again, once the amount, the total order, the cost of the order goes up, they send it in the oversized box with the packing peanuts. It's all free shipping. Like I always say, try and make sure that you are selecting FedEx on checkout. I just think it's a better service. So here we go. Let's get into the books. So some of these books are on repeat in various conditions. Here we have X-Men 184. I keep buying this book. It's I feel like there's like a standard Mile High order that I always kind of have in my cart. I keep getting this one. This is the first appearance of Forge. This is listed in very fine. So again, it's an opportunity maybe to clean up that book and get it up into the 9.4 range. Same goes for this book, X-Men Adventures. Honestly, and this is near mint, this is probably the fourth copy of this book that I've gotten from Mile High, and all of them have been like severely miswrapped. So finally, after all this time, I have a decently wrapped X-Men Adventures #1. They don't change the price on this. The value is slowly creeping up, and I just keep snagging these. And I know I should just buy 5 copies and get it over with, but I end up buying these one at a time, just like this book, Batman 436, first Tim Drake. I keep getting this one as well. This one has, looks to be, it's one of those where I keep buying, there's spine ticks right in there by Batman, right in the middle of the book. I keep buying it. On paper, on digital paper, on the surface, it does look like it's a good buy, but I can't land it in a 9.8 for some reason. So I don't really know what that's about, but I keep grabbing the book anyway because I really think it's good value. All right, here's one, Out of the Bag and Board, which is always fun. Spider-Man 257. This is in very fine condition. And it looks like right under the price, there's like a little bit of a tear or something right in there. So that's unfortunate. And that's kind of the gamble, right? Is what are they saying is very fine? Because the book, and I'm just going to go ahead and open this one. I want to know what constitutes very fine. Like, I understand every book is different, right? But I'm trying to find some consistency here. So the first thing I see is the dirt. So this is a book that I'll probably practice on, practice cleaning. Hard to see really just how dirty it is, but kind of see right up in there. So that's going all around the book, that level of dirt. So that would require some cleaning, but right in here, it looks like it's a full, yeah, it goes all the way through the book, that hole. So I think with that hole, it'll kind of max out at either a 7.5 or 8.5, and then it'll go down from there. So I'm trying to figure out what are the things that makes a book very fine at Mile High. Is it dirt? Is it spine ticks? Is it color breaks? This is not a VF. It's probably more like a 6.5, I would say. Maybe with the cleaning, you can get it to a 7. So, yeah, I'm not even going to put it back in the bag. And again, it's a gamble. I say it's not a sure bet. You can't do it, but if you buy enough over time, you end up with some good books in the long run. This is another book I keep getting, Moon Knight 25. This one's near mint. First team up of Moon Knight and Ghost Rider. So I love grabbing this one. Secret Wars #7 in a VF. So right here, and let's take a look at this one. And trying to figure out what is a very fine versus a near mint. So in this case, we have a delicate spine curl or push. I would say that those are non-color breaking spine ticks right there. Just a little bit of a dent. Yeah, you can see right in there. Corner looks really good. Additional spine issues down here, right? A little bit of a color break. And then one more here by the staple. Let's see the back. Really can't stand this ad because you can see up the guy's nose. It always bothers me. He's got stuff up his nose. Yeah, the color breaks are not severe. Like that one's pretty bad, but the rest are just those little ticks. Um, there is now I see. Okay, so here is a giant scratch right there, right under his fist. There we go. Right, look at that. That scratch that goes right across. So yeah, now you're looking at 7 to 8. So that makes sense. Introducing the all new Spider-Woman. Again, just trying to stay on top of, what everybody's saying in the market as far as Julia Carpenter, Madam Web, and it just depends on which books the speculators have, and then that's the book. That's the character that's going to show up in the Sony Madam Web property. I'm just trying to, again, keep up with what everybody's pushing. And Secret Wars is coming. I think that's the big rumor, that either a two-part or, Infinity War Endgame level type of event or saga in the MCU. And I don't think Secret Wars is coming like 10 years later. I think we'll get it 4 to 5 years from now. And so all of these issues from the first Secret Wars 2 is a little rough, but Secret Wars 1, you really can't go wrong grabbing any of those books. Here's another one, Amazing Spider-Man number 12. This book is related to Spider-Verse, Miles. So just trying, again, staying on top of that one. Pretty interesting cover with all the Spider-Man heads in the background. This one is in near mint. Okay, so now we're getting into some of the newer books that I'm targeting. Again, trying to stay ahead of the game. This is Moon Knight 188. We're trying to figure out who Ethan Hawke is playing in the Moon Knight series, and we're going to find out next month when the series launches in March 2022. This is the first appearance of Sun King, and it's possible that he's playing an amalgam of 2 or even possibly 3 characters. Is he Dr. Harrow? Is he Dracula? Is he the Sun King? We're not exactly sure yet. It could be one of those where Marvel is teasing one character and he's going to be revealed as another, and it just happens to have the same name. So the Harrow last name of the Ethan Hawke character could be just sort of like they're trying to not necessarily reveal who he really is to the audience, but also in trailers, right? So we don't always want to know it. It does appear like he's the Sun King. So I'm all in on this book. This is 188. There are some variants, and those are much more rare than this. But I've started to grab these off of Mile High. Again, it has a really huge price tag. And then with the coupon, it brings it down. I think that price tag is scaring people off because speculators want to find this for like $5. So I got this in near mint. This is my first copy, I believe. And hopefully this works out. Sometimes if they're more recently released, like this is a 2017 date on this series, you have a better shot at getting them in a 9.8, but still, hopefully it's 9.4, 9.6. Here is Amazing Spider-Man 306. This one is near mint. I can already tell it has a spine curl that would have to be pressed, and some color-breaking spine ticks. It also looks a little faded, so the color is not as bright. This one is interesting. It's an Action Comics homage. I have one in transit to CGC for grading. As I keep talking about the McFarlane Spider-Mans from 302 and up, and then his issues of the regular Spider-Man titled series. Those are typically overlooked because the community says too much quantity, mass produced. But what we've seen is quantity doesn't necessarily matter, or it's not necessarily a consistent driver of price. I understand supply and demand, but there's something to be said about a specifically an artist, and in this era of grading books with covers and things like that, when you combine a very, very popular, dare I say, legendary artist, popular character, cover, it doesn't matter really if it's mass produced. It's going to be more desirable by more people. So the demand will be higher. So it's high supply, high demand. And in those cases, you can't go wrong when you're purchasing from places that has a high supply. So I always look at the high supply, high demand books like this because you can get really good value out of them. Okay, the last couple of books are very fine. And let me just turn the last one over here for a second. This is Marvel Team Up 131, Spider-Man and Frogman and Enter the White Rabbit. A very interesting book, to say the least. This one's tough. It's listed in very fine. I took a shot with the all-black cover, and I want to open this and take a look and see what constitutes a very fine. I realized after I placed this order, I probably shouldn't have done that with an all-black cover, because as soon as you start to see those spine ticks, you just start to mark it down in terms of grade. This one's not bad, though. So here's the spine, and it's really tremendous for this type of book that probably beat up and in quarter bins and everything. So there's a little bit of a spine issue there, but it's not color breaking. There's some whitening down in the corner, so there's sort of like your problem there. And again, that's borderline 9896 territory already. Same for the top, that looks pretty good, but not bad. Just kind of moving it back and forth in the light. I mean, I would say 9.6 just looking at the front cover. Now let's turn this in a different direction, and we'll notice here there is a little bit of just a slight tear. It's probably at the 1/8 of an inch territory, so it's okay to have that. It's not like that makes it an automatic 8.5, but it is unfortunately a tear, as you can see it coming around through that side. Let's turn the book over. It's dirty, so that's another thing. And I wonder too, again, I'm trying to figure out what is the mentality of a grader sitting at the Mile High warehouse having to go through hundreds of books a day. And there's probably some basic things that they look at in order to speed up the process, because they're not going to sit here like I am. It takes too much time. So I believe dirt is going to be one thing. So this book is really dirty. It definitely needs a clean. But if I took the Immaculate plus possibly a little bit of light erasing, that book cleans up, and this is a 9.6. So interesting. What would I give this book as is, just kind of in its current state? Well, the dirt probably takes it into somewhere in a 9 to 9.4. You have the tear on the front, and then a couple of spine ticks plus the whitening. I'm thinking 8.5, but I do believe that this could be pushed up into a 9.4. So I would grade it out as an 8.5. So did that hold up and I'm just going to rebag this real quick. Did that hold up with the very fine? I think I think this one was overgraded in a sense, but it's hard when I'm looking at a book. It's difficult for me to separate the grade that it is at and then the projected grade if I were to actually fix it and clean it up. And it's something that I struggle with, and I have to remain focused. Like there, I was ready to say, oh, that's a 9.2. Well, it's not a 9.2. It's too dirty. It's too... the tear, the 2 or 3 spine ticks that I would have to kind of smooth out, or that may come out with a little humidity and a press on its own. I'm always struggling with that. I'm always trying to keep myself in check and say, just grade it as is. Okay, so the last book is the big book. It was expensive. I want to open it and I want to grade it. I'm a little nervous, but I keep finding early X-Men at Mile High, and it's one of those, again, I feel like I'm a broken record here, kind of doing the same thing. early X-Men, early Fantastic Four, before they really are part of the MCU. We're starting to see them sprinkling in. We've got rumors of Illuminati and Professor X, and now X-Men books are starting to tick up a little bit, just because, again, the proof is that mutants are coming to the MCU once you start to hear things like Professor X's voice in a trailer. So here we go. This is X-Men 107, and very fine. This is a key book for the X-Men. This is the first appearance of the Starjammers. So that is something else that if you want to think about, no big predictions here, but like, what if the Guardians of the Galaxy run into the Starjammers in Guardians 3? You know, it's kind of an unknown quantity there, Starjammers. Does that mean that maybe they kind of set up some things or mention teams or other characters for the X-Men to meet down the road? But the Starjammers have a long history with the X-Men. So here's that book in a very fine. Right there in the light, you can see there's more spine issues. Spine ticks, tearing. Corners look fairly strong. It is miswrapped, but not bad. And that miswrap is probably hiding some other defects. But yeah, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 issues. That could be considered a tear, but I think it's just a spine tick in the angle of the, or it could be 2 spine ticks together forming that triangle right here. The top is very sharp, so that's good. And then again, the back is dirty. Like, look how dirty that spine is, right? So lots of dirt there. Lots of dirt there at the top as well. So this and this whole thing, it's very yellowish. This just is begging to be kind of wiped down and cleaned. And I do believe that that's probably one of the first things that the graders look at. They just say, how dirty is the book? And if it is, if there's dirt on it, it's very fine to start, and then they kind of go from there. This is not a 9.8 candidate, so it's not going to, obviously, but I mean, it can't be improved to a 9.8. But I think it could be improved up to possibly a 9.2, maybe a 9.4. And in that case, it's a win. But again, just to be fair, I have to grade it here with the current issues, defects, and so forth that it has. So what it has going for it, it still has a lot of gloss, which is great. I just noticed something else right in the claw here as well. Right by my thumb, there's also a little bit of, I hope that's not a scratch. God, look at that. Look at that first page with Phoenix behind. What an awesome, awesome just piece of art by Dave Cockrum. Like, that all day would make for an awesome cover. That'd be like a classic, iconic X-Men cover. Just that first splash page. Amazing. And then, it gets even better. Look at this. Boom, right there. Starjammers. Wow. I just want to sit here and go through it and read it. I'm getting distracted. The grade. Let's get back to the grade. I keep thinking back to that 9.0 I have. I don't know what that is right there. It feels like it's just a little bit of a dent. So it's possible that some direct humidity and a press could get that out. Maybe even a little bit of work with a steel ball. The color breaks that I see, it's really right here. That's the real problem. These should come out, but I'm still counting 6 to 7 with the color break. You know, I'm leaning towards giving it that 9, but with the 9.0 I have, the corners are also very soft. It's the dirt that is really getting me, and again, I have to kind of push it back to that 8.5. So somewhere in an 8.5 or 9, I believe. And again, to be fair, when I'm trying to decide between 2 grades, I pick the lower. So I think this is an 8.5. But again, it has the potential to be improved. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is I'm looking for fairness of grade, which I think how many very fine? 1, 2, 3, 4. I purchased 5 very fine books. I'd say maybe 3 of them were above very fine technically, if you're going by, you know, the specific industry grades and not the mile high very fine. So if you're talking about an 8.0, I think that at least 3 of them are probably above 8.0, maybe in the 8.5. And then I don't know about the couple others, but then I'm just thinking about the potential, right? So if I'm able to improve these and push them up into maybe the near mint minus range, or VFNM, somewhere in there, even a 9.2, you eke out a 9.2. Once you get into the 9s for some of these books, that's where the value is. So I think that what I'm seeing is there's a consistent opportunity to buy books in a VF that are even above VF. Again, if you think VF is an 8.0 and not mile high very fine, which is a range, and they put all of their, I'm not going to go over it, but they put all of their grade point ranges on their site. So very fine covers a range of grades. But when I see VF, I see 8.0. And if I can get books at an 8.5 from them straight up with no additional work on my end, I think that, yeah, I mean, again, it's, do they overgrade if they're saying VF is somewhere between a 7.5 and a 9? Or, you know, like, it's hard to say, like, it depends. But I think from a very specific and rigid grade point system, I do think they overgrade a bit. So if I'm saying 3 out of 5 of the very fines are actually 8.5s and the others are 7.5, it's going to average out to be very fine. But that's not a bad thing. What it means is then you know exactly what you're going to get on average, and a VF book should come in around an 8.0. So what I do is I try and find those books at mile high that are listed in very fine, but with a value at an 8.0 that is much, much higher than what they're selling it for. So that's kind of the strategy there. I'm building that data on fine and very fine books as we go. This is my second order from them that included books that were not near mint. You know, some of the near mint books, I can tell as going through them, they're not, you know, 9.8 candidates. A couple of them look like they might be. So it's a nice mixture. And again, I put all this data in there and give you a nice average and let the data do the talking. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.